So today first we'll understand about the types of keys. Okay. See already these keys we already used in the application, but just we'll understand them today. First of all, open application. So coming to these keys in Pega, there are two types of keys are there: primary key and class key. See, first of all, if you know class key, already we know. Okay, so where we did this class key concept, where did we use the class key concept? See, when application is defined automatically, I told you earlier, for user class group and belongs to class group, automatically will be having a class key. So where PYD is nothing but the default class key. So if that is set, we are able to define the execution, flow execution and all we are able to do. So class key is automatically generated for the user class group and belongs to class group we don't have right now, but in the future if you create any subclasses under the work layer, so for that also automatically, excuse me, for that also automatically it will generate a class key that is nothing but PYID. Okay, for user class group and belongs to class group, so the class key will be PYID, so that we are able to compile the flows in the work layer and work classes we are able to compile. And apart from that, in whenever we define data types like tables we are creating, right? So at the time of creating table also we are setting some class key. So like if it is a customer table, customer ID is a class key. If it is a state table, state code is a class key. So like that we are compulsory setting the key whenever we define data types also. Okay. So that is class key. So automatically for the work layer and work classes it will there as a PYD will be there as a class key. And when if I define any tables in application also will be compulsory. So define manually we are going to define some class key. Okay. And apart from that, in Pega, there is some other key called primary key. So, primary key in Pega is also called as PZNS key. See, this primary key to implement in internally, it will be executing a method called obj open by handle. So, today we are going to understand that method also. So, what this obj open by handle will do means fetch single record based on primary key. Okay, or fetch single record based on PZNS key. So, what this primary key will do means in application, for example, for internally for every rule this primary key will be executed. That is, I mean to say, if you take any rule in Pega, for every rule this obj open by handle method will be executed. Okay, how it will be executed means, the thing is, I told you earlier one statement. This Pega is a virtual platform, and what are the rules we see here? All these are virtually. We are able to view them. We are able to map it in other rules in the application. But if you open any rule here, see from where these rules are fetching and displaying in the platform. See, if I click on any rule here, if I click on this age property, so it will fetch from the rule based PR4 table and display here in the application. So the thing is internally here for every rule or every class or any table if you take, if I click on any class name or if I click on any rule name here, so for every rule it will execute a method called obj open by handle. The reason is because to view the rules or to open the rules or to map the rules in the application, so for every rule, it will execute a method called obj open by handle. So that is primary key will be there for every rule in Pega here. Every class, apart from the class key, for every class, primary key will be there. Or if you try to go to data type also, if you click on any table, on which table we selected, so only that table will open. If I click on customer table, only customer table will open, because for this also internally, apart from class key we set, for every rule, even table also some kind of rule, it will be stored in the PR table in the rule base. So if you click on this, only customer table will open. So internally for this also it will execute this primary key. That is internally primary key will be there for every rule or every table or every class. Internally primary key will be there, because obj open by handle will be executed for every rule we try to open and display in the platform. This method will be executed. So the purpose of this method is fetch single record based on primary key or fetch single record based on PZNS key. Okay. And suppose if you want to check some other points are there, just for understanding purpose only, no need to do practical in the real time. So once open the rule base and go to work table. So here I want to show you some format of the primary key I want to show you in the for the work table. See how to know the primary key. So for any rule or for any table, first of all I'm showing. Let's take the work table. Okay, so for the work table, how to know the primary key format and all, and where to check that if you want to know. This is just information only, not mandatory. Expand these servers and expand the databases. Schemas and data tables, and open this work table. So pc underscore alpha underscore work. So right click on this table and click on properties. Okay, right click on the table and click on properties. Just I want to show you that it will be having primary key along with class key. It will also have primary key. If you go to the constraints, you can see pz_key will be there as a primary key. Like that, for internally we cannot check for every rule, but it will be there for every rule in the backend. Okay. And apart from that, they may ask you what is the format of primary key for the work table. Okay, so if you want to know the primary key format, if you right click on this view data, view all rows, see it will show different columns will be displayed in the right side, right? See here you'll be having a column called pz_key. Under that you can identify the format. Actually the format will be like your class group name space work id. That is the format in the work table. If you check for the pz_key here, so the format under that you can check class group name space work id value. Okay, so if you see the format, your class group name space work id, so that is the format of the pz_key. And if you want to check at rule level also, you can check. So first I showed in the table level, in the properties I showed. And if you want to know the format of pz_key, so view data, view all rows, and you can check it in the column. Under the pz_key column you can check. So your class group name space work id, that is the format of pz_key in the work table. And how to identify the primary key for any individual rule. Okay, so for any individual rule, if you want to identify also, you can check it in the application at rule level. We can check, for example, let's take any rule, like property is a rule, right? See, I open age property. So for any rule, if I want to identify the primary key format, go to actions, view xml. So it will open this xml code in the backend. In this you'll be having a column, pz_key column will be there. Okay, so in between these pz_key start and close buttons, so you can see some structure is there. So that is nothing but the pz_key formatted rule level. See, it will be having four things. What are the four things? Are instance name, rule class, rule name, and timestamp. I'll show it in the document. I'll copy that in the document. So any rule if you open and if you click on view xml, so you'll be getting this pz_key format will be available. See in that, what are the four things we will be having is first one is see, for every rule you will be having some rule instance name, right? So that is the first one. Then in which class the rule is created, that is nothing but rule class. And the third one is what is the name of the rule. And fourth one is timestamp, at what date and time the rule is created. So these four things will be there for every pz_key at rule level. So like that, suppose if they ask you what is the pz_key format for section, so then rule html section is the instance name, a rule class where the particular rule is created, then the rule name, section rule name, and section timestamp, that when that section is created. So like that if we can mention, okay. So like that if they ask you for what is the pjdns key format for flow rule obj flow, okay, rule class, rule name and timestamp. So these are the formats we'll be getting for the pjdns key, okay. At rule level if you want to identify, so only thing is this one will be different, right? So instance name, if you want to identify, I told you earlier how to identify the instance name for any rule means, if you go to that particular rule and go to actions and view xml, under the pjdns key you can identify the name. Suppose if you by mistake if you don't know what is instance name for any rule, just open the structure view xml, and under the pjdns key you can find the instance name, you can find out, okay. So only thing is this will be different. Remaining and all, when you explain you'll just say it as rule class, rule name and timestamp, okay. So that is the format at rule level, okay. So like that for any rule here, so any table, any class or any rule if you take, internally for every rule it will be having this pjdns key, which is nothing but primary key will be there for every rule internally in the application, okay. Just this just a information only. Now here the purpose is, what is the purpose of here, primary key purpose is it will uniquely fetch and display the rule in the platform. So because every rule will be there in some respective tables like pr4, or if tables means pr tables it will be there, but in the application when you are using them or when you are opening them, it will fetch and display in the platform, okay. So we can view the names here, but when you click on them it will be fetching from the rule base and displaying in the application, right? So it will fetch the rule and display in the application. So for that purpose, internally this primary key or the method called obj open by handle will be executed internally. For every rule it will be executed, okay. So any rule we are opening and displaying in the platform, it will be executing a method called obj open by handle. So what is this obj open by handle? So we are going to understand one functionality today. So purpose of obj open by handle is to fetch a single record based on primary key or based on pjdns key. Okay. So let's see. Actually, this one I'm going to use with along with other methods I'm going to use, because not only one method. See, mostly apart from fetching, earlier class we have seen how to fetch the data, and in the previous classes we have seen how to save the data, and in previous classes using obj browse how to fetch multiple records we have seen. Now I want to show one scenario how to again implement all the functionalities in one requirement, okay. Like you using obj browse, property set, obj open by handle, obj save. So all the things how to implement in one requirement, I want to take one example. Let's see, in that I'll be internally using, mainly this one will be using for updating the data. Anytime if I want to update any data, so this method will be regularly using. Only fetching, if only single record if I want to fetch, we will go with obj open. If I want to update any data means, we'll be mostly using this obj open by handle will be using. You can also use obj open, but this is best practice than obj open method, okay. So let's see one scenario. See, requirement is, see, in the previous sessions we created these status like pending customer info, pending vehicle info, like different status we added. So I want to try this example for any one status, because I will be creating a generic activity using parameters, not only for pending, any status in application. If I want to change from old status to new status, if I want to change, we can update, because I'll be using parameters. And what is generic activity means, I'll be creating in the organization class. See, till now all the rules I'm creating in the work layer, but if I want to define any rules in the if I want to define in organization class and reuse it everywhere in the application, we can also add the rules in organization classes also we can define. Okay, this one I want to show you. If I want to create directly in work layer also you can create, but I want to create one rule in the organization class, okay, and there itself I'll be executing. So requirement is, if any status given, see, with the different status we have different records are there in our application. So I want to update any old status given, I want to update the status value to a new status value I want to update. For example, here I'm going to take the example as a pending customer info, but if I want to try for any other status also you can try, because I'm going to use parameters, I'm not hard coding any value here. I'll be using parameters. If you're using parameters, so this will work for any status in application. In your application, some 100 status are there. For all the status, this will work. One activity we can use for any type of status we can use. Okay? So requirement is update any old status to new status. Okay, but I'm going to execute and verify by using pending customer info value. I'm going to verify, and I'll be adding a new value as pending new customer info. So when this new value is given, how many records are there with this status? All the records will be updated with the new status. Maybe in my system, for example, I have some 10 records are there with this status. All the records will be automatically updated and saved with this new status. That is the requirement here. So first of all, we don't know which IDs are there with this status. So if you want, two ways are there to identify which records are there. Either run the report and check. I told you previously how to run the report and check the status. Okay. Otherwise, what I'm going to do means, in my application presently, I'm going to run this transaction, and I'll be creating two IDs, some new IDs I'll be creating with pending customer info status. See, what I'm doing in my application is run insurance flow and close the transaction at, so work ID will be created, right? So close the transaction at pending customer info itself. Like that, I'll be creating two IDs, and when I create that activity, I'll be verifying under these two IDs. I'm going to verify. Maybe in your system the ID can be different, guys. Okay, if you see in my system AIFN 10001, this is one ID. I'm closing the work ID here itself. One more ID I'm going to create with pending customer info. See, there are many old IDs are there, but again, instead of running the report, this is simple, right? So again, run the report, and this is the second ID AIFN 10002. Okay, so if I create an activity during execution, I'll be checking in any one of these IDs. I'm going to verify. Okay, so here means some different ID. So like that, in your application, what are the ID created, you can check there. Okay, I'm keeping the same screenshots. In the previous application, these are the IDs we have, but in my current application, AIFN 10001 and 10002. Okay, now I told that I'll be creating these under the organization class. See, if you understand all the previous methods, so this will be easy to understand, because we are using different methods in one scenario now. So open organization class. So see, it is not mandatory to define in organization. If you want to define in work layer also, you can create, no issue, but just I'm creating in the organization class, so that, see, if any rules are created in organization, I can reuse in all the divisions and all the units in the application. Okay, so I'm creating here right now, but you can also create in work layer also, you can define, no issue. So open activity. So give a name. And see here, compulsory we are going to use parameters, because this will work for any status given will be working. So it's a we are not giving any, means we are not hard coding any values, we are just using parameters. So first you can go to parameters tab, and I'm giving two parameters, so old value and new value, like old status, give the required as S, so that when executing this activity, compulsory input must be given, and other value I'm giving is new status, and for this also I'm giving the required as S. Now go to patient classes. See here, we need to mention patient classes. See, whenever we are using only obj browse means no need to define, but obj browse with other methods compulsory. Obj browse and other methods if we are using, we need to define patient classes, and particularly, so we have to mention this list class, code py list. See, this is what is list class. Whenever we fetch multiple records, so the records will assign to this list class I told you. So mention the list class and give some reference page. Any name we can give. Then see, the thing is status properties, status records are there under work layer, right? So now coming to the second class, see, all the status values will be available under your work layer, alpha hyphen work. And for this, the reference property will be user page.px results, because the results it is going to fetch under the px results list property, right? So you have to mention user page.px results. So this is the reference class, and here we are also going to update the data. So if I want to update means, see, the status will be always there in the work layer, and we will also update in the same class. So again mention the same class, and this time give a different page for updating. So I'm giving something as a work object results. See, this user page is our own wish. Any name we can give. An update page also you can update in any other user page you can update. Okay. So this list class compulsory we have to define, and further define a user page, and after that your user page.px results, under which results will be holding. It will hold all the results under this structure, and because we are fetching all the results from the work layer, and again updating in the work layer, and further give some reference page, update page we have to mention. Now go back to steps tab. So like that, first I define these parameters and page and classes, then go to steps tab. So first method will be obj browse. If you're only using obj browse initially, if you're using, then no need to define page new. So use obj browse method, and fill the parameters. So page name is here, the user page which is taken in the page name, copy paste. And from where we are fetching these work IDs, that is I mean to say status, from the work layer we are fetching. So the reference class here, obj class, is nothing but work layer, and disable get row key. And here we need to define properties. See, the main records we are fetching is py status work. So click on dot in the keyboard and go to more option. So we know, right, status property, status value will assign to py status work. But here we need to apply conditions. See, earlier we have seen how to apply filter conditions in report. Similarly, we can also apply filter conditions in obj browse also. So select equal to, but we are not hard coding the value, we are using parameters. So select param.old status. See, old status means in the application currently how many status are there, all the status it will fetch. What are the values we have, or what are the records associated to this property in the backend, all the records it is going to fetch if you define this parameter. Okay. Then here we need to include one more column, because we are here updating records based on primary key. So that is, see, obj open by handle method we are using. Further the property name is pg key. So apart from this py status work, also include the property pg key. Okay, so also include the column name pg key. For this no need to set any condition. First this is one method, so then we will continue with the methods. So first of all, I'll explain. So this time we are creating this activity in the organization class, open activity. So define person classes and parameters. So then parameters, two parameters I have taken, one is old status and new status. Then in the steps tab, use obj browse method. In obj browse you will define the user page name and your class name, class group name. Then enter the column name. So one is py status work equal to param.old status, and column, second column is pg key, because we are using obj open by handle. So we have to insert that. Now collapse this step. Now we are going to add the step number 2. See here we are going to, this time we are going to use loop condition. See, till now we didn't use loop, but in this scenario, see how many status are there now. All the status it is going to fetch and display under the page called this one. Under this page all the results will be holding, okay, inside the clipboard. So use that page, and see whenever we are going to fetch and update the data, we will define the loop condition. The best way to update each record is loop condition. So in the method tab we don't use any method. Whenever we apply the choose the loop condition, only give the results page, and then we have to choose the loop condition. See, mostly 100% of the cases, 99% cases will be using px results, which is a list property. And for list property, the loop condition here, so 3 to 4 types will be there, but we will always use for each embedded page, because for list properties this is the only loop condition supported. So these other types are for other property types, because any fetching multiple records means compulsory will go with for each embedded page only. Okay, so select this loop condition. So give the results page, and in the loop option select the condition for each embedded page and click on submit. Now after selecting the loop condition, now remaining steps and all will be adding child steps. That is under the step number 2, we are going to define child steps. We are going to define, that is whenever we select the loop condition, all the steps under the loop we have to define. Under the step number 2 we have to define. So right click on step number 2, right click on this step number 2, you will be getting option called add child. Select this add child. So these all come under child steps under the loop. Okay, so here if you want you can use page new, because we'll update the data in the new page, right? The new user page is work object results. Okay, so the other one is see, obj browse will fetch all the records and display in this page, and here for each record we are going to update and save it again. Okay, so we are going to update and save to new status. So to fetch each record, now we'll be using this method obj open by handle. Now here we need to use obj open by handle, and in this one parameter will be there. We have to fill the parameter called instance handle. So obj open by handle contains one parameter called instance handle, and automatically whenever we update, I told you yesterday, we have to enable lock and commit. So and provide the instance handle. What is instance handle format is, see this results page is there, right? So results page you have to mention, and see the always each record if it is selected, the pega format will be like this. So in bracket, so use current. Current means like a current record or each record, then close that and dot pjdns key. I'll tell you, I'll show this format in the document also. Dot pjdns key. So enter the format. So the pjdns key whenever we are using, that is instance handle whenever we are going to define. So the format will be like this. So I'll show it in the document, complete instance handle format. So after we apply the loop condition, so you can add page new. Optionally you can add page new, then open obj open by handle method. Then this is the format of the instance handle. So your results page of current dot pjdns key. So what is your results page you have taken? So results page of current dot pjdns key. This is the instance handle format. Okay, now after the instance handle is provided, enable lock and commit, because whenever this record is selected, so it will lock that record, and after release, after the updation is after the record is selected or after the updation is completed, it will commit that record. Okay, so during updation it will log that, and after updation it will commit that record. Okay, these two check boxes whenever we update any data, so it should be enabled, both the columns should be enabled. So expand, collapse this one. Then so after selecting, obj open will select the record. After selecting that record, so we need to change that record, the value we have to change to the new value, right? So in order to set the old value to new value, we'll be using a method called property set method. So in order to change old value to new value, so we will use a method called property set method. Expand that. So again, column name is what? Py status work. The status we are updating to new value, right? So py status work is the new column, and in the value you have to choose parameter again, param dot new status. So in the execution time, what are the new value given? That new value will be updated with all the old records. Okay. So the to set the new value for the property, so using property set we can set the new value, and we need to save that. See here, obj browse will fetch all the data. Obj open by handle will select the record, and after selecting that record, that particular record which is selected will be updated using this property set. And after that, we have to save that record, right? So after the property set, this property set will only commit, will only save to the clipboard page. Again, from there, if I want to permanently save that record, we'll be using obj save. So use obj save. And the next one is after obj save. So yesterday, previous topics, I told you one thing, like a transactional, non-transactional processing. So if it is a transactional processing means, so whenever we call your obj save activities in Flaction, it come under transactional. But here I'm not calling in a Flaction. I'll be using a commit API, because here itself I'm going to execute. I'm not calling anywhere right now. In the same activity, I'm going to run this transaction, run this activity. So the thing is, here we need to use commit API. Without using commit API, the record will not be permanently updated in the after saving also, it will not be permanently committed. Okay, so we have to use commit API in this scenario because it is non-transactional processing. If it is a transactional means internally commit will apply, but right now this is non-transactional processing, so we have to compulsory apply the commit API. But the thing is, commit APIs and all inside the loop we will not use. Okay, because if any record processing fail means it will stop there itself. Always we will be using commit outside the loop we are going to use. So now collapse all the steps. Now add step number 3, and here in order to use that commit API we will be using instruction call and give a space. So go to more option. The API name is commit with error handling. See what this commit with error handling will, you can also include the step page. It is optional only, you can include, no issue. See if you open this commit with error handling, yesterday I told you, like in previous class I told you we'll have commit, rollback, like different things we'll have. See all the actions in one API only it will be having. We don't separately use commit, rollback separately, we don't use. So it will, commit API will do different things. It will commit the data, if any errors are there it will erase them, and finally after the commit it is going to unlock that record. So during commit it will lock, and after the committing it is going to unlock that record. So all the actions it will perform in one API. So automatically whenever we are going to if it is a non-transactional save means compulsory will be using this API. Okay, so individual method is not recommended. So this API will have all the functionalities, so it is recommended to use the APIs instead of methods. Okay, so now save this activity. Like anytime fetch and update and save means, so the same steps we have to apply. Only maybe your column names may be different, maybe table name can be different, but anytime fetching and updating the record means, so this is the procedure you have to follow. Okay, so now verify. I'm going to verify in activity level itself. Run this activity and test this. See, I told that I'll be verifying the status with pending customer info. See, but you can verify with any other status also, you can verify. So I'm giving the exact value. See, status is case sensitive. Give the correct value according to your application. So in my system, this is the format given. And coming to the new status, I'll at least change a few characters. I'm giving as a new customer info. So if I give the new value now, and if I click on run, so what are the status we have with this old status? All the records will be updated with a new status value. So let's see whether it is working or not. Click on run. So click on run, and where you have to check whether it is updated or not. where you need to check. See, earlier I told you all the work IDs information. If you want to open, open class group name and click on that. So click on the class group name. In the right side, it will open all the work IDs, right? See, these are the two IDs which are latestly created using pending customer info. There are many other IDs are there, but if you check in one ID, automatically we can understand that is updated or not, right? So I'm going to open A-1001 in my application, and you can see the status. It is showing the new status. So pending hyphen new customer info, like that. What are the records we have with pending customer info status? So any old records we have, all records will be updated to the new value, new status value. Okay, like that. See, this is a generic activity not only for this status. If I use this activity, I can update the same activity. That is, I can use the same activity to update any status in application, not only pending customer info. If I use the other status in application also, this activity will be useful. Okay. Suppose again, once again, I'm going to run this activity. I'm going to execute once again. See, now the old status is what. See, we updated the status to pending new customer info now. So if I run once again, what we need to provide in the old status? So we need to provide the old status as, so pending new customer info we have to provide. So here you have to enter. So enter the value as pending new customer info. And coming to the new status, again I'm giving the last one, old one I'm giving, which is earlier one, initially what we have. Again I'm giving the pending customer info I'm giving. Okay. So click on run. And again check that particular ID. Open this. See, it is already open, I think, but refresh once. It is already open, right? Refresh once. And now check in 101 or 1002. You will be getting again as pending customer info. You'll be getting, because again we have given old and new status. We have given this one, right? Again you can see the status value will be getting as a pending customer info. Will be getting. Okay. So like that in application, not only the status guys, any record if want to fetch and update those values means, so these are the methods we'll be using. Maybe in the next other scenarios when you're working in the real time, maybe from table also you can use table name, we can use table data we can fetch, and table data we can update to same table or some other table. Okay. So here in the present activity what I have taken, this is work ID's information and status information. So we are updating in the same class, but in the real time, if you fetch any data from some table and update to some other table, at the time the class names may be different. Table name, if you fetch from customer table and save it to some other table means, accordingly we have to give the mapping here. Okay. So like that. So any data fetching and updating methods configuration is same. Maybe property names and table names may be different in the real time. So in the next scenario, you may work on some other table or some other data we are going to update. Okay, but process is same always. Okay, if you know the process, anywhere you can implement this requirement. Okay, so that is about how we can use fetch multiple records and update them and save it again. So these are the methods, complete methods. Initially each method separately we implemented, but all the methods we found to implement in one scenario. So like this we can achieve. Okay. So like what is your requirement, accordingly we'll be using the methods and filling the parameters for these methods. Okay. So any questions still here? Once again quickly I'll repeat. So here the requirement I told, right, fetch the records and update them to the new value. So fetch all the old values and update the value to the new value. That is the requirement here. So I've taken example for the status value. So any status if you give, so it should be updated to some new value, it should be updated. So initially in the activity we'll define parameters and pays and classes. Okay. So always whenever we do fetching, this list class and compulsory user page name mandatory, and from which table you are fetching or from which class you are fetching, you have to mention the class names here. Okay. And then in the step common methods, all the methods will be common. Only thing is from which class you are fetching and for which columns you are fetching. Based on that, we have to fill the parameters in the method. And always we'll use this loop condition whenever we are fetching multiple records and updating means compulsory will be using the loop condition. It is mandatory. Okay. And under the loop condition, we'll define all the steps. So here, obj open by handle is most preferred. Always will be using this because obj open by handle will select each record and the new value will be assigned using property set method. And then again we need to save that value, right? Using obj save we can save that record. Then after that we'll be using commit. If it is a, suppose if you call these activities in flaction means commit not required. But if you independently in some other rules, if you call means anywhere in other activities or in other rules if you are calling means then commit is required. But suppose any requirement if you get, and if you're calling the activity in some flaction means then at that time we are not going to use the commit API. Okay. If it is a non-transactional processing means we have to use this commit API. Okay. So that is about this obj open by handle, guys. Okay. Any questions, anyone? So up to here, any questions?